Hi everybody, my name is Jessica Holyfield. I'm a professional dancer, professional dance choreographer, and dance educator based out of the southeast of the United States. And today we're going to be taking a look at the dance rank mission that is from the season 2 of Street Woman Fighter. And I believe it appears in the second episode as well. So the group that we're going to be looking at is the sub leader group. Now, I learned because I just recently recorded the rookie group that there are around 2 videos that kind of display what goes on in the challenge. So what I don't know is who was picked as the dancer, main dancer, nor do I know who choreographed it either. So I'm not gonna make a guess of who choreographed it. I would love for you guys to tell me so I have better context later of what kind of, you know, who is the choreographer in the comparison. But I will be taking a guess of who I would personally pick to be the main dancer of the choreography given. Now, I have mentioned this before, I think this is probably the most subjective section of the entire competition because not only are you looking at what who did the choreography, but who did it to the best of your preference is honestly how it feels. Because for me, there's certain things that I cater to more preference. I really care about musicality, I care about music and making sure that your movement is not too loud nor too soft to cater to your music. I also don't know, are they looking for somebody to be the essence of the artist that is singing? That's another factor too. So I don't know those things, and if there is that kind of context that I need to be aware of, please let me know. I would love to know that. I also know that they do make the group smaller, so they select people and then they have them go again. So after I'm done watching the first round with all 8, we'll talk through it, and then we're gonna move on into where they limit it down to a smaller number. So let's go ahead and get started. So like I mentioned, this is a sub-leader group. No idea what they are about to do. It's gonna be fun.
It was a win for Jam Republic for today.
I want to prove myself here. The main dancer audition, I'm gonna hold my ground.
지브라 상하이 입고 날뛸 거예요.
Oh, we have somebody starting backwards.
Let's fight.
Let's fight. More of an R&B aesthetic song. He's using wordplay here. Oh! Wow! 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 Okay, my dancer from Jam Republic hands down bodied that compared to everybody else, and I will talk about it whenever we break it down. That is her style. 100% her style.
負けないように日本から44キロの衣装を持ってきてるんで、センタ
wow.
ー取りたいんです。
무조건 뺏어올 거예요.
I'm curious who else is gonna be. Okay, Super Kill, I see you. Woo! She's spotting this very well. Wow, okay, she's making good choices too, Maniquinas. Wow. Wow, okay, I'm gonna say out of Red Elite, right, from Maniqueen and from Subakill, I think Subakill has more of that R&B flow that comes with it. Sheesh. Okay, so this one, honestly, compared to Rookie, this one felt easier to know what they're looking for, because with an R&B style, there's a particular flow you need to have in order to execute it accurately. So we're gonna I'm gonna go from the top with my first group. Okay, Jam Republic, my dancer from there. This is the style that she does.
Jam Republic for today.
So this is
I
like,
want to prove myself here. The main dance.
I feel like she definitely proved herself here for sure. How she did this had that West Coast grime to it. It was so nice to watch. So we're gonna kind of take a look here. I'm gonna try to do a little comparison of what's going on with each dancer. Okay, so some of them, so from the get-go, I'm assuming it's a sexual nuance song, right? Because it's an R&B flow, a lot of the choices of some of the outfits, as well as some of the artistic choices of the dancers, that's going to cater into what they actually do. So she's starting facing the back, everybody is using their hips in some way, shape, or form. But you gotta look at the pocket that she's setting up right here, she's a little too high. So in comparison to the rookie group, you know that song had some bass, but it also had a lot of femme qualities about this. This song is a male voice, so you're gonna naturally wanna be more grounded. Use of the plie, use of the bend of the knees a little bit more. But not only that, you wanna utilize a sensualness of, because you are a woman dancing to a male song, you have to think about what kind of dancers, this is when cultural context comes into play. So whenever you think of, like, let's say AOMG is a brilliant example of this. So like when Jay Park has a song, like I don't know who sang the song, but like if you have this kind of setup and you think of dancers that do backup for this kind of song, it would be like Latrice here. Latrice, she bodies and exudes that kind of sensualness of the usage of her body rolls and the fullness of how she's using her hips. That kind of stuff's important. Right now she's playing off the wordplay, but you know that she hit the bass, but it's still very like jerkish when that's not the kind of song. So she's ignoring this underlying flow of an R&B. And I'm gonna be like, this may be a tad bit TMI, so I apologize, but whenever you think R&B, a lot of times people use these songs whenever they're doing like more sensual activities. I'll keep it very PG like that. So when you think about that, part of it will stem from the BPM of it, so it's a little bit slower, right? It feels more romantic. And so a lot of times what you think of is rhythm. You want to make sure that you have a constant rhythm and you want the flow to stay maintained the entire time. And so some of our dancers have already broken that flow, you know. So it just looks like they're just doing choreography. Now she's doing a great job of isolating, but the problem we're running into is it's not just about the isolation, it's about the pocket that you're lifting that isolation in. What she's doing is she's hitting and she goes, hitch. Like everything has to keep moving. And that's a big thing I want you to take a look at when you watch these dancers. Some of them, they're stopping and they're bouncing versus the body rolls and the rotations of the hips, all of those things. Something has to keep moving. Like look, she's choosing to go forward and attack and then chill it out to make those two subtly different, and she just attacked them both the same way. But also look, eye contact. Your performance up here is just as important as your performance down here because you have to sell it. Right? So, I mean, this is a very unfortunate term, but it is relevant to today's society. Sex sells. Okay? So, unfortunately, I mean, personally for me, my principles and my convictions is, at least for underage kids, like minors, I'm not a fan of the sexualization of that. And that's a completely different, we don't even have to get into that for this. But for this, they're all adults, at least those who are doing this. And so I feel like with Latrice here, she is making this choice, like, you know what sexy looks like, you know what I'm saying? So she's making this choice to create a very sensual look. But everybody else is just doing the choreo, you know, like they're taking a cool chill approach, but I really don't think that that's what's being looked for here. It doesn't work. You know, like she's making choices of when she wants to arch the back to create those kind of lines and angles based on what the choreo is calling for. So whenever you're holding a position, you don't want to hold this in like a masculine stance if you're trying to prove your sensualness as a woman from the get-go. So Latrice is doing a good job of actually like figuring out what needs to actually be groovy. Then from there, what needs to take a more sensual groove approach. From there, what needs to take an overly feminine approach, and which one needs to take a sexual approach. But also you have to keep it tasteful. You don't want to overkill the sex. That's a big thing here. Like, look at that. The isolation of the hips and the eye contact. That is brilliant. Yeah. So look, she goes down and then uses the hips. So she made a sensual choice there. Also, what she's wearing too really helps. She's not wearing something that can be more of an androgynous form. Here's the thing. I am all for androgynous fashion. I'm a participant. I love it because I just feel comfortable in this style. However, when you're doing a song like this and you want to be a main dancer and you know what this song calls for, you need to dress the part, which a lot of them did. So that's my big key, my kicker here. And look, she's going dun 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 versus like pose, right? Or like hit. Her texture is build, and it matches that timbre brilliantly. You know, it's just very like a conversation, you know, like, hey, let's go back. Hey, you know, it's very much like that. Yeah, so that's my big thing. Like, look, even here's a brilliant example. You have to create tension through your body rolls to get you where you wanted to go with an accent. There needs to be tension. You can't just go move, smooth, and then move. And I think that's what she's doing here. You have to have tension that builds up. Because remember, what are sensual activities that require tension? Or not require, but help you whenever you have that kind of sensual tension involved. It's like an explosion of love, right? So pretty much like, you have to approach, that's why you want to be careful where you put your tension and how you build your body rolls. And that's where part of the flow comes in, is the flow is not just the breathability of your movement, but it's also the tension of where you choose to place it. You know, so she's creating that, and everyone's doing a good job in that moment there. But look, like that right there, it's honestly that the choreography looks fabulous on her. I love that. And now we're doing a switch. You know, so I have a feeling she's going to be picked as one of my finalists. I would also say there's some really good moments. So I have a feeling that these two are going to be picked as well because she did a great job. You know, for her, she's like, I'm going to have to go for it. And this is one of her options. She chose to go for it. Now, is that going to work in her favor? I have no idea. But I'm assuming that may help create more of that tension or that sensualness behind her movement. So, but like, no, look, she's hitting, I really like her pocket. Like what she's taking is actually like a, it reminds me, well actually this backbeat reminds me of this, which is why I think what she's doing reminds me of it too, is you have, what is it, Justin Timberlake, or like NSYNC, a lot of times with their R&B kind of sound, they have those kind of positions, and a lot of these positions remind me of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC because of just during the era that was a really trending kind of movement quality at the time. But what she did is she hit it really chill. It was a chill approach. And I think like she's maintaining eye contact, which is really helpful here too. But now what she's doing too is she's picking really good choices. I wish that they didn't like hold, and that maybe just be in the choreography. But I like how both of them did this in different ways. Like, look, she's going here and isolating, so she's still picking like a sensual section of her body to still be that accent there, and it's still chill. Remember, there's that flow that's maintained. And she also, over here, she used her head, boom, and hit. So she took a chill approach, which I like. With the wave. But I would say right now, Red Lake really did that. They're not being very clear with their movements. And that's a big thing you have to be wary of as well, is you can't sacrifice movement and the actual blueprint and the bones of the choreography for the sake of getting a certain perspective across. That could be disrespectful to the choreographer, especially in the workplace. So you have to learn how to balance between what kind of presence you want to give, as well as what is the choreographer bare bones what needs to be required for the job, because this is everybody that learned this choreo, I'm assuming is going to be doing it in a video, right? So who are they looking for that's going to exude the aesthetic of the song best? You know they're doing the choreography. I will say though, out of my two here, I would say Red League, it looks like she's doing the choreography more accurately, but she's making more sensual choices, but it looks like she's doing, like, it honestly gives me a Janet Jackson vibe, and Janet Jackson has a lot of sensualness about a lot of her movement in some of her work, and so I wonder that's what this reads to me, like her aesthetic reads to me, like how she's hitting a lot of these movements. Like, she has a great groove about a lot of it, so I like how they both chose to do it. But I would say my favorite right now is still Latrice, because a lot of them are like stopping, you know, but also that's okay if they made the choice and they set it up to make it so. Yeah, so then they ended in a really nice femme posture. But she really ended in a femme posture for her. She ended in more like a boy band posture, which is a slight bevel. So I mean, this was one heck of a start. I'm curious of who they would pick. But those three, I'm gonna place my bet, like, at least those three are the ones that get picked. If they go down to 4, I think those are the 3. All right, what we're gonna do is we're now gonna go to the second video that I believe is the second part to this, where they have a small group. Let's do it.
You got this. You got this. Focus more. Eat the orders.
Red Lace. I kind of knew she would be my rival in this one, but I think she is a bit younger in the dance life.
Huh. So she said younger in her dance life, meaning probably dance career. Oh, so just between those two? Whoa. Yeah. Latrice is really riding through the entire groove in her lower half that I feel like Red League is not doing. She's matching in the chest, or what she's making her choice in the chest. She's not able to compensate for her legs in the leg choreography, and that could cost her. Okay, let's take a look at it. Both of them, I mean, here's the deal. They did a lot of cuts too, so I couldn't truly see like how they did the choreo. I love Kirsten being encouraging to her, and honestly, no, too, though, like, this is the only part of the show that I can actually listen for. Like, I don't know what Red League says, but I know what she says, you know, so I can't actually contribute to the true exchanges of what they are expecting with each other. Okay, so she's automatically starting, you know, crawling up the fingers. Okay, so at the get-go, I will say her top really helped her in that and that roll-up versus Redelique. With Redelique, she had a baggier top, and then she had a gray bra underneath, and so it was really hard to see that last half of that body roll. So I wonder if that could contribute to this too. Okay, so one of them, so she is not making eye contact, and she is sometimes. So I would say, like, for this type of track, it depends on the groove that you're doing will determine if your eye contact matters. So I would say for this part, like, I would say eye contact matters a little bit more here in comparison to typical other choreographies, because it's the R&B, like I've mentioned before, with the sensuality about it. Yeah, so like so far they're pretty even. There's one part where there's a huge difference right there. So notice she only did 1, she did 2. So I don't know if it's a choreographic thing, but her energy is bigger here because she fully rotated the knees both times, because she reinstated the weight onto that dominant foot. She only did 1, and it looked like she was marking it as much. She didn't commit to that 1. She just did 1 because it felt like she didn't have enough time to fully commit to both. I also know that Mnet edited it to where you have that, which means that we're supposed to notice something there. So I think that's what actually helped me see that a little bit more than if I didn't have that audio. And also look too, she still reinstated her hips. She did not. So it just looks like there's certain things that she is giving up on, whether it's due to being tired or trying to make a different choice, but she is staying committed to, and that can also contribute to who gets picked. Yeah, so let me just see what happened there. So she's using her shoulders to reinstate. Boom, boom, boom. Shh. And then Redelique, let me see what she's doing. It just looks like she's just kind of moving her arms, but you don't hear that bass. Because if those shoulders are supposed to go boom, 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 shh, you know, there's a difference between being really, really, really sharp or the bounce, 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 shh, you know. So I would say that with that, she is not fully engaging into that hit and fully committing to it, maybe compared to the first time, but in comparison to Latrice, I think her stamina in this style is lasting longer than Redelique. That's what I'm noticing here. And look, even that detail there, her hand didn't fully create the lines. Lined. She doesn't have that. You know, even with her strikes, Latrice is using her back. She's just using her shoulders. And that does matter, because when you take a look, like, you're just thrusting the arm versus actually pulling using the body. And she's making those playful choices, and it looks like she's fighting a little bit more, which is what you don't want to have happen at an R&B section. So they're doing the choreography, you know. Right, so she is hamming it up near the end in comparison to Redelique. It just looks like she is doing, you know, she's just doing it, and she's trying to conserve energy where she can, but here's when she presses in. And normally near the end of the choreography is when people, judges, or those who are observing, tend to notice a little bit more if somebody is running out of steam, and that's what this appears to look like. So I think that really worked against Redelique here, and it worked for her favor because she was able to dial in and give us that little extra here, and it wasn't too much because she wasn't just letting her body go. It was still controlled, but she was using her body, and she finished the choreography technically. Redelique didn't. She just stayed and she didn't pull the leg in, and she kept it here, you know, which could be another kind of choice that she wanted to make, you know, but my vote would be Latrice in this, you know. And I will say this too, I did hear that apparently there was some hot water issue that happened there was an exchange between the two with Redelique made a statement about Latrice's body. I don't know if that was alleged, if that was edited, manipulated Mnet content. I don't know what that was. I will say this as an individual who does not look like Latrice. Yes, I come from America, but no, I didn't grow up with understanding how to use my body in this way at all. It is something that you can learn. It takes longer for some people versus others, but it doesn't mean that it is an unteachable thing or, oh, somebody just has the body for it. No, that's not how that works a lot of times. Now, some people may have a cultural background where there's certain rhythm patterns, cultural perspectives, as well as way you hold your posture and your body, and certain grooves that are integrated into your culture and community that could contribute to what your body naturally wants to cater towards. But that's a cultural thing, and it's a nurtured thing. It's not something that it can be implicit, but a lot of it can be explicitly learned from personal example. Do I get personally really exhausted doing this style? Absolutely, because of the amount of control and tension required. It requires your muscles to be like this. As you try to create a legato groove, that's very counterintuitive and it's hard to do. Just like other sensual activities, right? They can be very exhausting very quickly. So all that to say, if that turned into an actual issue, as an individual who teaches people to dance like this, who also is a participant that dances like this, and also judges people who dance like this, most of the time, we're not going to be looking and assuming that you can do a certain style simply because of the way that you look. That's not how it works. So I really hope that it was just really evil editing, and I'm not really like super upset either. I just know that that was something that was brought to people's attention and people are upset about it, if it is actually true. And I would agree. Like, I don't think that is an appropriate thing to think about or give an excuse for. It's not an excuse. It's you're not nurtured enough and you didn't pursue that style in depth enough because you know that the style that you cater to is not that, and you have to step up. Another example would be, you know, Leah Kim in her battle with Mina Young. Neither of them can hold a crump pocket. Could they have the choice to go and learn from that culture and that community and understand how to do a crump pocket? And could Leah Kim come back and be able to do a crump pocket? Absolutely. Will it take her longer than a man? Maybe. But you have to think about bone structure and think about how you actually hold and the power that it resides in too. And you have to understand the inception of the styles too. So it has a lot of it. There are restrictions and there's things that happen that come from your circumstances, and that's okay, but you are not allowed, like, it's not acceptable, especially on this stage, to make excuses for your own incompetence in a style. There's no excuse for it, especially if you're a professional dancer. No excuse for it. There are enough resources out there in the entire world where you can get that information. You just have to try, because I have to do it too. So sorry for my little TED talk about that, but I know for this particular exchange, there was some hot, heated discussion about it, and I would love to hear your context as well and hear your discussions on it too. I'm all here for it. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this was helpful in some way. I really enjoyed this particular challenge. I felt like I was able to kind of pinpoint what they were looking for in this one in comparison to the rookie group. It could be because I'm not super familiar with what people look for in that genre. So it really could just be, I just need to grow a little bit in that, which is why I'm watching this. It makes me more intrigued in that process. And I'm very appreciative of the opportunity to be able to speak on some other hot topics through these reactions and be able to discuss with you guys just kind of some common issues that we see, or just some things that excuses made, or controversies that take place, or just things in dance that don't get talked about enough, or that aren't brought to our attention as much as they should. And so I do appreciate if you watched the whole thing and you heard my excerpt about the Redelique and Latrice situation. From what I've just heard, I did share a lot of, it's so much more than that, just in the cultural stance and just excuses and things like that. So anyway, thank you guys again for watching, and I look forward to watching some more of these battles and performances alongside you. Bye guys.